Wholeness and balanced vibrations. So I'd like to have a review of the basic principles of reality transurfing today before I move forward and carry our journey forward with these teachings. If you recall, a while ago, before I started the 78-day practical reality transurfing teachers, I had a YouTube video that was going over some of the very basic glossary terms that we use, like dropping importance, pendulums, the wave of fortune, having a choice, the unity of heart and mind, and so on and so forth. So if you'd like to go back and also listen to that in conjunction with today's video, it will be very helpful in taking this journey forwards with the reviewing of the basic principles. But before I start, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and also hit the bell notification so that you're notified on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So Mondays and Fridays will primarily be teaching lessons, and every Wednesday I will create a meditation that is based on the teachings around Monday and Friday to bring it all together. So today's space. Let's talk about the physical reality, the dream space, reality, your life, and what all these words really mean. So, first of all, the dream space. You see, the dream space is not a product of your imagination. The dream space is actually real, and it actually exists in the form of a film archive that's already there, where everything that ever was, is, and ever might be is stored. Okay? And when you are seeing a dream, you are simply viewing one of these film rolls within the space of a multitude of film rolls. And the physical reality, your physical reality, is not that which never was, nor is it that which will be, but it is that which happens once and now. Physical reality exists for one single moment. It's like a frame in a film roll which moves from the past and into the future. But like a Zen monk once said, you can never cross the same river twice. So that particular physical reality that is happening to you is only in the now. Okay? You are a creator. And it's important for you to tap into your creational power. You see, we don't really create anything that's not already there in existence. And so what we're doing is we're always selecting from the alternative space that particular film archive from a particular sector of space, of the alternative space, with our thoughts. And the reality that we see is actually multi-layered. Imagine looking at an onion. Okay? Our reality is actually like an onion. It exists on multiple layers. The word personality comes from personal reality. So each person, with each person's unique and individual personality, sees the world according to their layer, their perception, their uniqueness, of their personal reality. I'm deliberately going slowly because this is a lot to take in. So the reality is like a multi-layered onion. But only 2 of those layers are familiar to us. The physical reality in which we live and the dream space which we dream about every night. Okay? And so sleeping and waking are roughly the same thing, only that they take place in different dimensions. Now we know how free we feel in our dreams. You know, we can fly, we can swim underwater, we can do all sorts of things because there aren't any barriers. There's nothing holding us back. Now, drifting off and waking up, we tend to shift from one dimension into another. So sleep and awakening that follow sleep are similar in context to things like life and death. You see, life is actually sleeping, and death is awakening, and it's not the other way around. Your life, as in the essence of your life, which is really your soul, your Atma, also moves from one incarnation into another. And we do not remember our previous incarnations because every incarnation is like a separate screen. It's a separate life of the soul. Or I could say a separate dream of the soul. And the presence of the body is therefore not essential to the life of the soul. Law number 1, the soul always exists. You always exist. Law number 2, there is only the now, the now, the now. Ad infinitum, the now. Law number 3, all is one and one is all. What does that mean? All is self, experiencing self. So there's one source experiencing itself in a myriad of forms. I'll go into this later in other episodes. Law number 4, what you give out is what you get back, like a boomerang. So no blame, no shame. All is self. And law number 5, there will always be change except for the first 4 laws. So the soul, the presence of the body is not essential to the life of the soul. The soul within the body is just one of the forms in which the soul can exist as an embodiment. So the body is like a kind of a biosuit. And that's why the body is often called a vehicle. You're basically moving from one vehicle to another. And who is that you? That you is the soul. So So this can be quite deep. And so we have the waking state. The ordinary waking state is one in which we tend to perceive ourselves primarily in terms of the physical body. The waking state is called the Jagrat State in Indian language. And in this state, we are focused on, or even lost in, the objects which appear in our perception. Because we're perceiving them in terms of their mutual preferences or differentiations that are appearing to us in our personal reality. And although we call this the waking state, to differentiate it from the sleeping and the dreaming state, from a spiritual perspective, it is the most unawake of all the states. You see, in this state, a person is primarily completely unconscious of his own subjective nature, and he never asks himself who he is. Now remember, in the past few YouTubes, I mentioned to ask yourself, am I awake? Am I aware? And the other one, I see myself, I see my reality. And so in this state, in this Jagrat waking state, whatever the person sees, or whenever he sees an object, he starts to identify himself with the object. My car, my house, my clothes, my this. And in this process, he totally forgets about himself as the perceiver, himself as the soul, and all of his energy goes into almost more of the ego structure of an unawakened being. And most people actually move through their waking life as if it's a dream. And they don't even wake up from this. What do we say? Am I awake? Am I aware? What you give out is what you get back. So if you ask the universe, am I awake? Am I aware? The universe will show you signs of being awake. There is one phrase in the Bhagavad Gita which says, what is day to most people is night to the person of wisdom, and vice versa. Now remember earlier, in the 78-day practical course, I spoke about living in the duality of the mirrored reality. You see, within the waking state, we also experience the other states. You can have dreaming in waking, which is the state called a daydream or a fantasy, in which we're completely lost to our mental impressions in a daydream. And so we're unaware of our physical surroundings. For example, a child not paying attention in a classroom and just lost in his thoughts, looking out of the window. And this state of deep sleep in waking is a moment of completely blanking out. It's a spontaneously thought-free state in which one stares off blankly into space. This state is rare in adults, but as I said, it's often observed in children and teenagers, and they're unfortunately discouraged from it. It is actually a natural state of unity consciousness. It is that middle state when you drift off from this physical reality. I see myself, I see my reality, and you go into the middle screen. But we're not aware of it. The fourth state in waking is a moment of spontaneous meditation. It is a thought-free state in which self-awareness is primary, even whilst you're perceiving the external world. An example of this is, I could be meditating whilst I'm still cooking the dinner. I'm aware of cooking the dinner, but I have no thoughts about it. And that doesn't mean that my actions are careless. I'm just not putting my attention into the fact of I am the one who is cooking. The cooking will automatically get done, and I become the detached observer. And this is called true wakefulness. So unlike in the deep sleep in waking state, in the fourth in waking state, there isn't a self forgetting itself or total abstraction of the self. And so movement and transformation are the fundamental qualities of reality and life. Movement and transformation. The frame moves along the film roll, not the other way around. For example, a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. The butterfly lays its larvae on a leaf, which in turn are transformed into caterpillars to become butterflies again. So, this brings me on to the inner screen. When we are lost in our thoughts within, our attention is wholly immersed in the inner screen. You may be oblivious to what is going on around you, and you probably do things in autopilot. For example, getting up, brushing your teeth, having a shower. You could be doing all these things while still within the thoughts of your inner screen. Then we have the outer screen. The outer screen is when our attention is busy with something external. And you forget yourself and you do things automatically without having to think about it. For example, riding a bicycle or driving a car. You're focused on the external reality, but you're not having to think about it. And this brings on to another word in reality transurfing called your attention. You see, your attention is always focused on either within on the inner screen or on the outer screen as the external of yourself. But your attention is very rarely in between the two. And so you're constantly sleeping. Wake up. Am I awake? Am I aware? You see, your attention is used to being glued to either one of the two screens, inner or outer, without passing through the middle screen, the point focus, the 0 point. And the result of this is that you have stopped taking any control of your attention. It does not obey you, but it simply starts drifting around randomly. And so you're constantly dropping into the non-conscious states of the Jagrat, the waking states. Or you could be a tiny little boat, allowing all the different waves that are coming along to just tag you along wherever they think you need to go, rather than being the creator of your reality and being a kick-ass, meta-powered, full-on creator. And so I urge you to be aware of what you're actually putting up on your scoreboard, so that you start to create your own reality in awareness. And of course, we'll go into this in more detail, but I just wanted to cover a few of these words that will be coming up time and time again. So remember, in the present moment, you cannot cross the same river twice. And so each moment exists in the now. And you decide your harmonious, probable future by being in your high vibration. And that simply means by following your joy. And I will carry on more, going through these glossary of terms on Friday, and I'll bring in a meditation on Wednesday. And I invite you to go over this again and again until it's really settled into your consciousness, so that you become aware of these terms. The terms of waking, dreaming, deep sleep, sleeping. All of these will be covered. Thank you for being wholeness and balanced vibrations.